We are HTLA Radio 1. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. We will add your distinctiveness, your advertisers, and your sponsors to our own. Resistance is futile.
If you can hear me, then you are listening to Straight Talk with your host, this intellectual Kate Taylor, and her co-host, the unequivocally awesome Christopher Crash Jesus Taylor. This is HTLA Radio 1, the world's best talk radio on the world's first all brilliantly exceptional, all utterly original talk entertainment programming ever. Straight Talk is now rolling into its 5th episode of the new season tonight, and we've just gotten done with all the big holidays. They're all behind us. I wish I could say the same for the cold, however. But as we said earlier, the powers that be have decided it's time to schedule those wonderful guests everybody's been waiting for this season. And we want to make sure you keep your iTunes, tablets, and browsers locked in with us as all of our shows resume, but especially this one here on Monday night, as this season's lineup sees bigger celeb guests, more notable noteworthies, and stronger social impact than ever. Yes. And before I get into what tonight's social impact has and is going to be offering, how about we take care of some station business, if you please?
Right. The station business. Well, as always, tonight and every night, Straight Talk is sponsored and brought to you by the fine folks at PreSonus. Yes, bringing us all the fine gear we use here in HTLA Studio 2 in New York. Everything from the incredible state-of-the-art mixers right on through to the top O-the-line monitoring systems. Yes, that is PreSonus. Also, MXL, the makers of the fine microphones that are bringing you the golden tones right now. Mm-hmm. And, of course, always Fierce Kitty Omnimedia. Mm-hmm. To keep up with all the news and happenings, you can visit for yourself at HTLA973.com.
That's right. And I can't wait because we've got that new Flash website coming. You stay tuned. It's coming, and it's going to be so big. Oh, my God.
Well, you know, I looked at it today, and I got to say, it's coming together. I mean, except for a few small details, that you've pretty much got the whole thing hammered out, and I'm pretty impressed.
Well, thank you. A few small details. I can't agree on any of the background music that's being brought, so we're having some discrepancies on that sort of thing. That's one of the things. So.
Creative conflicts.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So everything's got to be just perfect, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the designer in me.
And she says that I take 2 hours to name a Warcraft character.
Well, you do. You do. I'll throw it up there and I'll be like, yeah, no, take it away. You know, and I'll do that and do that and do that a million times. But my decisions are quick. I just have a lot of them.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
Right.
All right. Well, everyone listening should really go register a free profile at HTLA973.com to keep up on all the updating and amusements and amazements, as well as exclusive notifications and access to what's rolling for us next. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter. For the station, you can follow us at HTLA973. For this show, it's at StraightTalk973, and for my darling wife's personal Twitter, it's at FierceKittyKate.
Yes, that's right. And I should actually pay more attention to my Twitter. I guess I will do that. I will start to do that. Where's that one program you used to have for me? It was a feed that was on the side there that I could keep tabs on.
I don't know, but yeah.
All right, I'll have to look into that. Now, in addition to mine, of course, you can check out my very insightful and visionary husband's latest stuff. Find out what he's up to by following his Twitter at Crash Talkin'.
And my more personal stuff at OMS Unfiltered.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were still doing that. That's hubby's personal fan site / blog.
That's where I put out all my racist comments.
Oh, right. The stuff we're not allowed to air here. So that's his personal stuff. And stay tuned because one of these years, once the station website is done, my new Life and Style channel, Pout, will be launching. And that's going to be fun and a lot of work and exciting. But, yeah, just trying to get, all the schedules meshed together now with being back on the air and writing again and baby schedule and all that, so fitting it all in. And cooking, because you still have all my Fierce Kitty Kitchen stuff coming out on Facebook that we post all the time. So
all right, well, finally, remember to join us here every week, because although it's a couple of weeks until our guests return, you never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. Now, before we roll, honey, I think it's time to say it.
Not my favorite part. Tonight's show is
Oh, yeah. There you
That's
go.
it. Yes.
There it is.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, what do we got rolling for the meeps this evening?
Well, actually, tonight is all about you. I mean, this is your show. This is your baby. This is your topic. Hubby and I had come across, we have thousands of news feeds, going at any given time on the TVs and the multi-monitors around here and all this stuff.
Yes.
And I was actually in the Fierce Kitty kitchen the other day, baking up some yummy goodness. And, I have my big computer on the counter there. And, scrolling by me was the latest news feed that about someone called Jihad Jane and how she was just sentenced for 10 years for her role in a plot to kill the Swedish artist. What was his name? Vilk, yes. Yeah. Yes, something like that, right. And I had to look into that a little further because I do remember the cartoon of which they spoke that got that Swedish artist in trouble, where he portrayed Muhammad as a dog or on top of a dog or something like that.
Well, let's be clear, though. He wasn't in trouble in Sweden.
No, of course not. But what brought him on the radar of the, radical fundamentalists and stuff, the jihadists.
But wait.
Okay.
That would be an assumption in error.
Okay, well, hubby knows all of that, very well. Lars Vilks, so that's it.
Lars Vilks.
It's right there on my screen. Okay, yeah. So there you go.
He drives a Volkswagen?
He drives a Volkswagen. Well, at least he still has the opportunity to drive the Volkswagen because, when you try to become a jihadist online, folks, that's kind of a cut rate of the terrorism schools.
Well, I got news for you.
That's like going to film school for free online.
I got news for you. Actually, this is what I referred to earlier today on... well, no, it actually isn't. But...
Rewind that. Take two. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, I've delved deep into this because tomorrow I'm going to be doing a crash talk on it.
Right. That's right. Tomorrow.
Right? And... yeah, so I'm the go-to guy for the information here.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So, yes, while you've caught the story about Colleen LaRose there and the whole sentence to 10 years dealio.
Right.
There's a number of extenuating circumstances and factors which, to be totally truthful, have to make me laugh my...
butt off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Not the least of which, I mean, I'll go through this for you a little bit.
Please.
Jihad Jane, okay.
Mm.
Here's a 50-year-old woman who grew up, as most 50-year-old women do, she grew up, and, of course, along the growing up, there was, of course, the being raped by her dad from the age of 7 to the age of 13. All right, so she's raping by dad there, 13, leaves
I
home.
always got to question that kind of stuff, though. Sorry, I do. We have a 13-year-old, and Jesus,
I wouldn't touch her. What are you talking about?
That's not what I mean. I mean, could you imagine if someone did? Like she'd be able to keep it quiet from 7 to 13, or you know what I mean? I think once you hit a certain age of cognition, like 10 or 11 or so,
Well, every kid's different, and all the upbringing is different. And
true, but natural stages of rebellion when you get into those preteen years, that's the first thing.
Well, and you'll note that, the raping stopped at 13.
Okay, fair enough.
So maybe it was a thing where if you don't give me $45 for the bus station, I'm going to out your secret, right?
Right, true.
You don't know.
Right, true. Okay,
and too much about this story is about what we don't know.
Right, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Because that's just such a common thing.
All right. Well, she was born on June 5th, 1963. Yes, all those years ago. Raped by her father. So, there's huge psychological trust issues there, I would think. There's huge psychological issues where men are concerned, I would think.
Right.
Okay, then she goes out and she finds the world of drugs and alcohol.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Which usually the recollection of the sexual abuse comes after a couple of years of that, but okay, go ahead.
Well, thanks for the drug update.
Uh-huh.
No, so yeah, that was the deal. Well, she like so many other 15-year-olds or 50-year-olds is on the computer. And being on the computer, we all do things. We have Facebook accounts. We like to upload pictures of our butter tarts.
Right. She had a normal boyfriend and stuff, too, from what I understand.
Yes.
She was like so as normal as you get. Like,
well, and probably even more so. I equate this story quite a bit to online dating. Because really, when you're talking about this story, you're talking about people's human nature online. And people's human nature online is to what? Not be themselves.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
So, that's where you get, the Facebook dramas. Oh, so-and-so ripped me off. I'm going to go paste it all over his Facebook wall. Or
I'm a billionaire, but I eat at Denny's.
Yeah, I'm pregnant and you're the father, so I'm going to stick it all over your wall so your wife can find it. All of these kind of things happen on Facebook and Twitter and all the other forms of social media because they happen with people. Mm-hmm. Okay, so human nature hasn't changed just because in the last 2 decades we've gotten plugged in.
No, it's gotten worse.
Okay, so people are going to be people. So let's get that out of the way right now. And once you understand and accept that people are people, most people are bored with their lives. They're bored with everything that's going on. They're bored with trying to reach for the golden ring, or they're bored with trying to raise these kids, or they're bored with,
Right.
So what do? They do escapism. What do you think? Video games are $1 billion industry. It's not just kids playing them.
That's why the film industry will never see a recession.
Well, or indeed the alcohol industry.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've established that we're all bored. We're drunk. We're using drugs. We're playing video games. All of this stuff we know. Are you with me all so far?
Yes. That's a collective we, not us, just for the record.
Okay. Well, now this woman, there's been no preconception that is known in the public right now, no preconception whatsoever to being an Islamic terrorist. She doesn't know anything about them. She apparently accepted the religion online 4 years ago.
Wow.
And has been practicing it ever since. She's been doing this under the instruction of a man we're going to call Eagle Eye.
Right, Eagle Eye from Pakistan.
Yes, because Muslim terrorists always use American call signs. Roger 26, this is Eagle Eye. I'm coming in hot. Yeah. Ring a bell?
Yeah.
Wow. Do we have terrorists out there named Maverick and Goose?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. So apparently Eagle Eye...
But she was dumb enough not to think that.
Well, this is where I'm kind of going.
All right.
So Eagle Eye is in Pakistan, and Eagle Eye is apparently the grand poobah mastermind behind all of this going on with this terrorist cell, who is bent on, I might add, killing this Swedish artist. Not exactly what me, the NSA, the CIA, or any other A is going to classify as a high-profile target. I think the terrorists, as we've come to know them, would be much more interested in killing a George Bush or a Rumsfeld or a name one, Clinton. They'd probably be more interested in killing Ronald Reagan, and he's already dead. They would have absolutely no interest in killing old Volkswagen there.
No.
Because it was a cartoon.
Right, and
they're
one
not
thing to be mad about it.
They're not idiots. They take their jihad very seriously, and they don't declare one on an artist who's put out an anti-Muslim cartoon. They just don't do that, because what people don't understand is when you declare jihad, you're in that until death or victory.
Right.
It's not something you just don't do anymore. Well, our little terrorist who's been sitting in jail on the 8th floor of the FBI detention center for the last 4 years, before this verdict was handed down on Monday.
Yeah.
She said 4 years ago that, she's her jihad is over. Well,
when she got arrested, she said that. She spent 4 years in jail.
Yeah, but it's not. See, to the real terrorists, that's why they stick you in Guantanamo Bay and throw away the key, because if you've committed to that, you don't stop.
Right. But she's an American, so she's wishy-washy and fickle, just like all Americans.
Well, and here we go, right?
Right.
So, but, when your mastermind in Pakistan is telling you to work through the main training man, Ali Damaje, in Ireland, codename the Black Flag.
Oh, no.
Really, the Black Flag.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Flag. What'd you get that off a Raid can?
Right. Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. The more I looked into this, the more it's just an effing joke.
Right.
We've got this chickie, and what does she do? What does she do? Here's what she does. Here's her actual thing. She has an online relationship with this Ali Damaji, the Black Flag in Ireland.
Right.
Okay. And when she gets there, now check this out.
They didn't stick out like a sore thumb over there.
But wait, check. You're going to love this. You're going to love this.
Okay.
He strings her along online. She converts to Muslim online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
Okay, so the FBI and the CIA and the entire U.S. government are taking this as a global freaking threat from this woman. Yet, if you or I go get a degree online, everybody laughs at us. You went to an online school.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, I converted to Muslim online. Oh, yeah, really? Oh, okay.
Right.
So what?
Yeah.
You don't convert to a religion online. Okay?
No.
First problem. Now, she's instructed by Eagle Eye in Pakistan to report to Ali in Ireland to begin her training so that she can begin to train in the ways of Allah to go and take out this artist.
How are they staying underground in Ireland? Sorry, just got to ask.
Yeah, and the bigger question for me is, how did the chick afford a plane ticket?
That is an excellent question, because, I can't go to Sweden and hang out, and I'd love to.
Well, she had to go to Ireland first to train.
Oh, forget it.
It's not like they were paying.
It's like 16 grand.
In fact, when she got there to train with Ali, here's what she found. She found that the Black Flag was unemployed. She found that the Black Flag the Black Flag.
I was thinking the Black Plague, so there you go. It's all
he has no money, no resources.
Right.
He has no training complex or facilities. He has no followers, all which were promised by Eagle Eye in Pakistan. And once she had done her training there for 8 months, then she was to fly out and meet Eagle Eye in person, and they were going to go to Sweden together via Holland.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So she gets there, and she finds, now she's broke. She gets there and finds that this guy is full of crap.
Right.
There's no training facility. There's no followers. There's no nothing.
Oh, my God, really?
Right. And then she's like, great, I'm boned.
Right.
This is wonderful. Praise be to Allah. Yeah. So that's that. After the break, we'll be filling you more in on the rest of this. Hang on.
With 160 more miles per tank, the distances aren't getting shorter. The trucks are going farther. The new 2013 Ram 1500. With the best-in-class fuel economy, engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram.
At LG, we dreamed of a day when you could rely on the perfect kitchen. We dreamed of a day when a dishwasher wouldn't require any pre-rinsing, when a refrigerator could be uniquely designed for better access and storage, when a washer could save 20 minutes on larger loads, and an oven would take minutes to clean instead of hours. And for you, that day is now.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
Have I got a treat for you? New clean whipped cream foundation from CoverGirl. A delicious new recipe whipped up by Clean Makeup. They took their clean, fresh foundation, added a dash of hydration, then whipped it to smooth, matte perfection. Finally, a non-drying whip that wears like a dream. What a treat from Clean. New clean whipped cream from easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
And we are back. Yes, you are listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1. And tonight,
That's right.
Tonight we're ripping the Jihad Jane to a new one.
Well, not her. I think it's the system, but we'll get to that. And the reason that, usually it's me that can't shut up, and then, Crash just jumps in there with his 2 senses and his commentariums and such. But this is actually something that he knows a great deal more about than me, the story. So I'm letting him take the reins.
Okay, well, in addition to the Eagle Eye in Pakistan, and of course the lovely Black Flag in Ireland.
God, that's too funny.
Yes.
To me.
Well, and it's funny because I'm going to mention on Crash Talk tomorrow. If I came to you and said, okay, Kate, I want you to write me a screenplay for a feature film, and I want it to be the most backwards, effed up possible, plot to kill somebody through terrorism and all this stuff, you would come up with things like, having your mastermind in Pakistan and controlling a guy in Ireland.
Where they make the best crystal on the planet.
Where it's supposed to be the training facility in Ireland. Okay?
Wow.
I want a 15-year-old kid involved so that I can have, the youngest kid ever to be convicted of terrorism within the United States. He's got to be in the screenplay, too. Also, I want this girl's cousin to end up being a sex slave for this guy, because that'll throw in some spice into the story. And make sure that the Irish police department say when they're interviewed, it's a cartoon plot to kill a cartoon artist, because that's exactly what they said. The Irish police, they were working with the FBI and the CIA on this.
So, they admitted it was just a joke of a Keystone Cops
for 6 months. Well, some joke. She's back here now in federal pen.
Right, I don't get that.
Well, here's what happened. So she's over there trying to train, of course, finding out that it's all BS and it's just some ass on the internet trying to score.
So she drinks tea and plays with the sheep. And
ends up calling her boyfriend back on stateside and finds out that her mother is terminally ill.
Oh.
So she gets on the plane immediately and comes home because she knows they're a bunch of idiots. Nothing is going to happen. It was a complete waste of time. She's coming home now.
Right.
Enter the 15-year-old kid, Mohammed Khalid.
Ugh.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, Mohammed Khalid. I would have had you written that name.
I
Because that
know.
name sounds evil, doesn't it? Mohammed Khalid. Ah, yes. Well, Mohammed Khalid...
I had to put an Al in there, though. Muhammad Al-Khalid.
Okay, well, let's do that then. His
By the
name
way.
is Muhammad Al-Khalid. And you'd be absolutely right, actually. Muhammad Al-Khalid is a 15-year-old boy in Baltimore.
Oh, my goodness.
And do you know how he plays into this?
No.
She sent him her...
Jihad Jane did.
Jihad Jane, she sent him, before she left to Ireland, she sent him documents from her boyfriend, sent his passport and his identification to this kid in Baltimore, who then forwarded on to Eagle Eye in
Well,
Pakistan.
none of them look like their boyfriend. Her boyfriend is just a white, all-American looking
Yeah, okay.
guy.
Welcome to Forgery Today.
All right, I haven't a clue. But
I am your host, Dumbass, and I can tell you that anybody who's got half a skill at forging can change those documents to
not
make
with the
them to
passports the
whoever
way they
want.
are today.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Well, my passport, I looked at it over and over because
Anyway,
I was so happy.
so she comes back to Philadelphia, where she's arrested by the FBI and held up on the 8th floor of the Federal Bureau's detention building, where she's been to today. Yes. So Muhammad Khalid played his role and got... I don't know how she got his information to send the documents to him to forward on to Eagle Eye, but... This whole thing, to me, reminds me of those African money scams.
True, but right there, that's the 10 years in the pen. It's for the... she stole somebody else's identification.
Well, so
and
you would
gave it to,
think, but the judge on Monday mentioned nothing about that.
Oh, but that's
Okay.
really what she could have got nailed for.
Well, yeah, if you believe those disclaimers, but, clearly wasn't a factor here. So now the Irish police said to the mainstream media, as well as to a number of documentary makers, that this was, quote, a cartoon plot to kill a cartoon artist.
Right.
That was their quote and end quote. After 6 months of working with the CIA and the FBI on this case, ultimately to have the case sort of folded up as far as they were concerned when she came back stateside to be with her dying mother. Fast forward to, Monday when the judge made her little sentencing of 10 years. Jihad Jane's own lawyer, Michael Murphy, I believe his name is. Sounds like he's from Ireland, too. He must be a terrorist.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's what we're going to do next. Right.
Well, you see, this is kind of my point about this whole story. Number one, you'd have to be pretty gullible to believe that story. I know. Also, you would have to be pretty gullible to think that your next door neighbor or that girl down the street or that man who delivers your mail is a potential sleeper agent for some Muslim group somewhere on the planet.
Somehow.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there it is. I mean, we're supposed to believe that this was actually a credible terrorist threat to anybody, but
Oh, and that brings me to my question. If these are experts and they're working with the FBI and the CIA, who are supposed to be the foremost terrorism experts on the planet, and they couldn't tell, like, within the first 3 hours of listening to this chick and this Eagle Eye and et cetera, that this was just, these guys were just like hokey, and if they accomplished anything, it would just be through sheer luck, and that they weren't a credible threat. Put some newbie agents on it to monitor the situation and move on to the big terrorists and the big boys and such.
Well,
because I think they should all be fired and now. You know what I mean? For just that.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because
He's eating my delicious butter tarts, by the way.
Yeah,
I have to excuse him. They're irresistible in
I
the
can't
studio
help it.
here.
You have to understand something. Terrorism isn't new,
No, not
And
by
it's-
any stretch.
and it's something we created.
No, the British created it with Guy Fawkes Day.
No, I'm talking about Al-Qaeda.
Oh, we created Al-Qaeda.
Well, that's who she's apparently working for.
Oh, okay.
Now, here's a little-known fun fact.
Oh, I love those.
Not only do we know every member personally who is involved with Al-Qaeda, because we keep tracks of those trees and those communications to other people, and we build up these networks over the years so that we actually can build enough intelligence to be able to act out of stuff that's gathered from the CIA.
Okay.
Okay, that's happened over a course of decades. Now, back in the early 70s, we took our Harvard-educated bin Laden and put him over there in the mountains of Kukukistan, or wherever the hell we were. Wherever the hell we were screwing with the Russians, because, of course, Al-Qaeda was put in place to screw with the Russians. They were put in place to shoot rockets at tanks. They were put in place to reduce Russian army numbers. They were put in place to blow crap up. They were basically trained by some of our special secret services, like the SAS, like the Green Berets. Some of those specialist units were involved with training them. So, of course, they're taught all of the techniques and all of the training from us.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, now fast forward 40 years, and anybody at any agency is going to believe that this person is a genuine Al-Qaeda threat to U.S. interests, which is exactly what she was convicted of.
Right, no.
Okay? This woman doesn't need to see 10 minutes in jail, in my opinion. She needs to maybe, go on some sort of substance abuse rehab or something.
Yeah,
and
some kind of get your life together, act together kind of thing. And
some psychological help, some Dr. Dyer courses. She could benefit from stuff like that.
Definitely.
But putting her behind bars for, another 6.5 years for terrorist acts, I mean, do you know that the man in question, the one who actually did the cartooning,
right,
Wilkes over there, he believes, and he was talked to on the phone recently, he believes that she should only at maximum receive 2 years.
Right.
And the reason that he thinks that is because based on Swedish law, and for what she was trying to do, but it was failed from the beginning, there was never even a chance of her killing him.
Right.
He thinks that just for that kind of behavior, that should merit, up to 2 years in jail. And, of course, she's already served 4.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that, too. The victim himself, he doesn't care. He doesn't harbor any ill will. He's felt no loss. He's, didn't even know what was going on.
He got his name in the paper more. It was good publicity for him, yeah.
Sure. He sold some books, 2 years, get her out. She doesn't need to be there. It's not like she's going to have the resources and the network from Al-Qaeda to come and kill him again.
Definitely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, the whole thing to me, I go through this and I'm just poking holes in this thing everywhere, and I'm not even an investigator.
No.
I'm just looking at this and going, what's the point here? Like, really, what is anybody trying to accomplish by putting out this story?
Yeah, this was just a woman who was at a bad place in her life. She had been through whatever she had been through up to that point. Just like people find religion, they join groups and cults and things because they need some place where they're seeking acceptance, and they need something to cling to that's bigger than the problems and the pain that they endure every day. She chose this radical thing for whatever reason, and that was it. It wasn't a true, genuine belief.
Here's something, maybe you can shed some light on this here.
Sure.
What about the psychological aspect of being a girl who was raped from the age of 7 to 13, and then decades later finding yourself online applying to become a Muslim? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Muslim religion is the most oppressive to women.
Oh no, it
that
is
still
absolutely
exists.
right. Islam is unequivocally. Now you have to realize something, that the tenets, because I have studied the Quran, so the tenets of the Quran and Islam itself is actually an incredibly beautiful religion. Yes, women are always subordinate to men, but that's the way God created them. Man first, women second. It's that way in Christianity too.
Right.
It's no more extreme in Muslim, except they just take that modesty thing and the sex thing and the modesty thing uber seriously, even more so than the Christian, fundamentalists do.
Right.
It's not just about premarital sex. It's about, any kind of immodesty, etc. Right? Because it's an honor-based culture and an honor-based religion. As far as that goes, they're no more harsh to women than the Christians are, the Christian fundamentalists are. If you look at the LDS, they don't allow their children to get educated in schools. They homeschool them, and the boys are always homeschooled more, and the girls are more, doing chores and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. In your basic fundamentalist religions of all nature, women are always at that level because God says so. Women belong in the kitchen, and this is the way it is, and, it's the way it's always been. So, but you're absolutely right about that point. And there's something else going on here, because someone who and it's not just the rape from 7 to 13. Since we've been doing the show, I've actually even done some more reading and research, and it was a violently abusive childhood. So there were beatings all the time, and all kinds of psychological and emotional abuse, and et cetera, and et cetera. It wasn't just her, it was her sister too. And so to come from that environment and then seek out something as oppressive, and terrifying as the most oppressive fundamentalist Islam, which, you're talking stonings, honor killings, the most extreme aspect of the religion is where she allied herself with, to become a jihadist. And how far did she think she'd get in the organization? I mean, women don't even go far in the mob. Where do you think, how far did she think she was going to go? Martyrdom, it doesn't matter. If you're a woman, you're still not getting the
and
same perks.
From what I understand too, if you're female, then you're not going to have a bomb vest strapped to you at any age. If you're a male, it's a different story.
Well, there have been females, but that's a lot more between the Palestinians and the Israelis and stuff like that.
I'd strap on a vest for them.
Well, no, women do it. They do it. No, they put vests on children and stuff. No, it's not. They don't. But that's the fundamentalists, though.
Those are those splinter cells. Yeah.
Yeah. In the true Islam, no, women and children are revered. They're much more strictly controlled, but they're also much more revered by men too. Women are the source of all life, and in every culture they're honored for that. But they're also still subordinate to men in every culture. So it's kind of like with women, they have a greater responsibility. So, their punishments are more severe for abusing that responsibility too and taking advantage of that too.
Okay.
If you want to look at it that way. Okay. But the splinter cell that she joined, they're extremist. In their views. And why did she think that she would ever, even if she made it to the legitimate camp, be trained like a man? So
you're saying there is an extremist cell in Ireland?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that the extremists are the one that make these plots and do all these things. They're the ones that warp the entire religion and the entire
Okay, so it's not like
ideology.
A dark orange church as opposed to a light orange church.
No.
They don't worship differently, or...
No, but they'll take the words in the Quran and they'll twist them to their purposes. Do you know that in jihad, you're not supposed to destroy a building or a flower or a road or a tree or any of those things in the name of jihad? That it's sacred that you don't destroy, and God forbid you ever kill another Muslim. But yet the extremists do that kind of stuff all the time. And they don't care because they're extremists and they just take what's in the Quran and they twist it to their own purposes, and that's it.
Wow.
Right. So, but let's just answer that basic question quickly. Absolutely not. There's something going on. Either the abuse was not as severe, not as traumatic, or there are some victims of that sort of upbringing that seek out that same kind of life because, as horrible as it is, it's the only comfort they know. It's the only security they know.
Okay, yeah.
So it's either one of those two things, but in general, absolutely not.
Right.
You know, she'd be a man hater. She'd be an anti-traditionalism hater if all this was accurate. You know, she'd probably be an uber feminist.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to go for a 2-minute commercial break, gang. When we come back, we'll delve more in.
The Chevy Cruze offers an EPA estimated 36 mpg highway. That's crazy.
Crazy efficient.
10 standard airbags.
And you get StabiliTrak with traction control.
That is like crazy protection. This interior is
insane.
It is insane. I was going to say crazy again.
Visit your local Chevy dealer today. Right now, get this great lease on a 2013 Chevy Cruze LS for around $149 a month.
Fourth down, Coach. What do we do?
I'll tell you what we do.
I want you to go on the field. Look for anyone with an O.
Let's kill them with kindness. Jimmy, I want you to make balloon animals. Tyler, make little tea cozies, something fun.
Are you okay?
We will win this for Mother Russia!
Coach, eat a Snickers.
Why is that, Chief?
You get a little loopy when you're hungry.
Better.
Now let's go for it!
Go get him, guys!
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Hey, look at that new Toyota.
Look at that new Toyota.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Civic, you better look at this new Toyota Corolla. Now, you can get a 2013 Corolla with 0% financing. Or lease this Corolla LE for just $179 a month.
Look at that new Toyota.
Toyota, let's go places.
HTLA Radio 1.
Last segment. And we are back, gang. You are listening to HTLA Radio 1 in New York, and
this is Kate and Crash
on Straight Talk.
HTLA Radio 1 New York.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right.
You'll have to forgive Kate. She's a little sleepy today.
I am. It's a late night again for us. And, like I explained earlier, and our meeps know and our peeps know, I'm trying to juggle, having a toddler now, 2 years old. He's walking, he's grabbing, he's getting active, and, he's exhausting. And I'm trying to do that and work full time and still cook and get my life and style empire off the ground.
Cook and clean and...
Well, not the clean part.
Deal with the 13-year-old and...
No, I leave that to you, thanks.
Oh.
No.
Thanks.
Yeah. Only when she wants girly stuff can she come to mommy. The rest of the time it's, oh, daddy.
Yeah. Well, I guess to that end, I would like to bring up that other question, too, and that was about Jihad Jane.
Right.
And the whole, quote-unquote, sex slave dealio, because... that both these women were kind of tied up in this Irish guy here, Ali, and the Black Flag, as it were. And
oh, right. She was going to Ireland for the Black Flag.
She's doing the old sex slave thing. Now,
oh, God.
Clarify that for me as far as the Muslim religion goes, will you?
Well, okay. It's twofold, first of all. The people that are... all right, we're not talking about the sheiks and stuff that have harems and they have all those things. There are tenets in place for those people. They, there are different tiers in the hierarchy of the religion, and the sheiks and stuff like that. As long as they're non-religious, and they're wealthy, they've enjoyed harems and women and all that stuff forever and ever, and it's fine. That's just part of their culture. There's sections that have the multiple wives things and stuff too, and that's fine and that's okay as long as they're honored and it's done in a certain way.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Osama bin Laden had 27 wives and 100 and some kids,
something like that, right?
Yeah, okay. All
but
right.
He had the money. I mean, if you have the money, you're allowed to do that.
He's Harvard educated, of course he did.
Right. Now, but we're talking about these extremist splinters and these, coming from the rock hills of wherever they come from and, doing this extremist stuff. And, sex is not a part of anything. If they're not married, sex is, if they're married, it's sex with their wife and that's it. They're not even really allowed to have sex with someone who isn't their wife, even if they're single and the girl is single, because it would dishonor the girl and the family, and the girl's father would probably kill him and, probably kill her, not him. But it just wouldn't happen. So the minute that anyone mentioned to either Jane or Jamie being trained to be a sex slave to one of these jihadists, right there, the red flag should have gone up and the bell should have gone off and all that, because it's just not done. And it's just not part of that whole entire thing. They're about honoring, Allah and doing this and the jihad and the whole point and purpose of it. And, to sully that with something as, debasing as sex outside of a marriage or for whatever reason, it's just completely, diametrically opposed to the entire point of why they even get up in the morning.
Which brings me back to...
So this guy was just a faker in Ireland using this whole entire thing as a scam, like the African lottery thing.
Well, I submit that there isn't even an Eagle Eye guy in Pakistan. I think this guy here is the one who created this whole thing.
Possibly.
To get the babes.
Right.
And give me a safe place in the world that I could claim to be an Islamic terrorist and get away with Ireland, some of this BS that I'm handing to these women. It would be Ireland.
Yeah, because they don't care if he's a terrorist as long as he doesn't work for the IRA.
That's right. And
right.
The Irish police actually said that specifically.
See, I'm good, right?
You are?
Well, I'm married to an Irishman, too, so there you go. I know these things.
Well, yes, and that leads me to another section of my Crash Talk show tomorrow. And yes, cool. I'm going to take you all back to 1997.
Oh.
1997. So do the math with me, Kate, so I'm not screwed up here. That is 4 years before 9/11, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So there I was in 1997. 4 years before 9/11, which was, 4 or more years than before Homeland Security. And
supposedly.
Before drones and before email and internet monitoring. Is it fair to say that?
Yes, it is. When did I get online for the first time?
I'm sure the NSA can tell you. Well, the reason I say this is because yours truly and one of his senior cameramen at 5150 Productions were woken at 7 o'clock one morning by a joint task force busting into their places of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Special Operations Division and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, of all people.
That's right, that was.
Well, now, this happened in Victoria, BC, Canada.
Right.
Not Seattle, Washington.
97.
Not Arlington, Texas. Not Miami, Florida. Nope. Little old Victoria, BC, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why, you may ask? Why were you guys hauled out of your beds and interrogated for the better part of the day and had your computers and hard drives confiscated and had boxes of your, business files taken? And yes, what a joy that day was. Well, I'll tell you how that transpired. At 5150, we had about 8 full-time employees, and then we had about another 40 or so part-timers, just call them up to be on set or what have you. And, we were doing the film and TV thing, and it was going good, by the way. We had this girl on staff. Her name was Christy, and Christy was... Well, she was awesome, but she was a really good friend of mine and Keith's. Keith Bond was my cameraman. And, she, as it was, got a gig in Vancouver, okay? And the gig was, 4 or 5 months on this project. So she was going to be gone from Victoria, and we wouldn't be able to hang out and drink and party and do all that great stuff we used to do. So, we made arrangements with her before she left. We got her new email address and everything else, and we told her we'd keep in touch. All right, segue to the night in question. Ooh. So there's Keith and I hanging out in the studio, and we got about 12 computers in this place, a couple for admin up in the front office, and then the rest are in the audio and video posting studio, etc. And there we were at 3 o'clock in the morning just hanging out, smoking cigarettes and playing Doom or something. I can't remember the game. We were playing some head-to-head game, having a ball. And, well, crap, it got around to be like 3:30 in the morning. It was like, I think we should wrap it up for the night. So, but then he reminds me, he says, we didn't send an email to Christy yet because she had just left for Vancouver that day. So we pop up Chris's old email program there, and, I write a little bit and he writes a little bit. And now there's these vans, okay? In Vancouver, there's a courier company called Dan Foss. And Dan Foss Couriers happen to be like the number one government courier. Anytime you go by a government building in Vancouver, there's a Dan Foss courier van out in front of it. So, we had made mention in the email of saying that, the next time you see a red van in front of a government building in Vancouver, you should report to us at once. That was our kind of funny way of saying, come back on the weekends at least and hang out. Well, I let him sign the email. I headed off to bed, and he signed.
Thank goodness that was one time that you're not liking emails paid off for you.
There you go. Well, anyway, he signs the email and he sends it off and gets his coat and out the door he goes, and I lock everything up and go to bed myself. Mm-hmm. To which at 7 a.m. the following morning, we're hauled out of bed and raided by the RCMP and the FBI. Mm-hmm. Some sort of joint thing. I don't know. My first question was, what the heck is the FBI doing here? Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be? I'm in Canada. What the hell are they doing here?
Why would they be at your house of all people?
Yeah, really. Well, anyway, these guys went and took our hard drives out of each computer. They took boxes of my files from the studio, and they took a whole bunch of stuff. And they interrogated me, and I found out later that they were interrogating Keith Bond with another team over at his house at the same time.
Wow.
They hit us both at 7 o'clock in the morning. And they were doing the same thing to him. They took a bunch of his papers and documents and stuff. They took his computer hard drives. They just did a real number. Well, that was a tough thing to get over business-wise because, of course, I had a lot of clients' projects on our hard drives. I had a lot of sensitive and private information that those suckers didn't have any rights to. And it was all gone. So, for the next couple of weeks, I'm doing damage control, trying to keep clients and not go out of business and all that good stuff. And we get FedEx couriers to our place quite often at 5150 because people would send us their various projects and pieces, the various films and that kind of stuff, and scripts and all that kind of stuff was coming to us all the time. So it wasn't unusual this one particular day, about 30 days later, that the FedEx guy came in with a couple of boxes. Well, Marnie told me the FedEx guy was here and there was packages, so around noon that day I came out of my office and went in and saw what they had left. They had brought back all my files.
Oh, good.
They had brought back all of the media that they took. There was 11 hard drives sitting in the box. I was still missing one. And ultimately, on scanning those hard drives, they were completely devoid of any information, and it had all been taken off. So I had to start from zero there. And there was a letter that I still have to this day from then Constable Zimmerman from the RCMP's Special Investigations Division. And it says, quote, "Dear Christopher, thank you for your cooperation, period. Sincerely, whatever, Zimmerman, blah, 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 blah."
Right.
And that was the end of it. That was the last I heard of it. But that was in 1997, folks.
Wow, that's just bizarre. So what do you make of that, really? I mean, what is your verdict on that?
Well, what I make of that is what's obvious to me. Monitoring our doings on the internet is not only email and your chat messages and websites and places you go and tracing your IP address and tracking your IP address and tracking where you go with your IP address to what other IP addresses and what you do there and all your banking information and all your account information, all this stuff, it's all being accumulated long before anybody said boo in the media that it's accumulated. And here's another interesting point. What most people don't know is the internet itself. Those protocols, FTP, HTTP, SMTP, all those protocols that we use for our web browsing and our file servers and our email, all of those protocols were alive and existing and created and working in something called MILNET.
Right, yeah.
MILNET is short for the U.S. military network.
Right.
The first computer network, which ultimately was expanded to include universities.
Right.
And then ultimately expanded to include you and me and everybody else who has paid time to be on the internet.
Right.
All those protocols are from back then. And do you think the word hacker came after that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I understand, yeah.
The people who created MILNET were hacking their own code before any of us were in diapers.
Right.
So
true.
I would put it to the American populace at large that there hasn't been a day that you've been on the internet that they haven't been monitoring everything.
And Snowden is just, talking about old news when he talks about all that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you believe anything else, you're an idiot because it happened to me in 97 in Canada.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, and anybody who knows anything about even, basic kind of military history knows, or computer history, knows that it originated there. And we're going back to the 50s with their first room-sized computer servers and things and all that, right?
Well, here's the funny thing now. It was at that raid at 7 o'clock in the morning when I learned how Keefe had signed the email.
Okay, how did he sign the email?
He had signed it, Mahmed, leader of the Crimson Jihad, mayor of Nanaimo, which is a small community in Vancouver Island, Grand Poobah. It was a long signature, but it was any
silly things.
Any drooling idiot would tell that it was just being funny.
Yeah.
I got grilled that next day for 8 hours on the Crimson Jihad, and to prove that I'm not a member or indeed the leader of the Crimson Jihad.
Oh wow.
The Crimson Jihad, as most of you should know, is from the 1994 James Cameron movie True Lies.
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold. Yes, and the Crimson Jihad, that would be the terrorist group in that movie.
And what did they say when you
told them?
them?
I showed them the bloody cover of the film. I'm like, here, sit down. We'll throw it on the VCR. I'll make popcorn. It's a good movie.
Right.
none of them laugh. None of them, they wouldn't believe me.
Right. Right.
So you tell them the truth and they're still not believing you.
Oh, my goodness.
What do?
It's scary stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
So now for our little signature on our email, we could have done 10 years for that too.
Right.
Under
if it
today's
had been
laws.
post 2000, right. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely. That's some scary stuff.
So what my problem really is here is that the FBI, the RCMP, the CIA, all of these groups and organizations that track this stuff on a daily basis, they frickin' know better.
Yeah, if they're going to, if they went, that was in 97 too, but if they did that with you, I guess they are obligated to follow up every kind of potential lead, right?
But why? This was 97. There was no Twin Towers.
No, now with these people. Because God forbid they don't, and then it turns out to be something. Because look at that one guy, the shoe bomber on the flight, the American, who had the C4 in his sneakers.
Uh-huh.
Stupid things like that. You got to investigate all these things, because if stuff like that slips by and, God forbid, causes another 5,000 casualty incident.
There's a far cry from the shoe bomber to militant harmony love going on here.
Well, I agree. But,
All you've got to do is look at this situation for 5 minutes, if it takes you that long, to realize, no, there's nothing going on here. This woman's lost, and these guys are idiots.
Right, they preyed on her.
So you're telling me they couldn't just punch up Ali Damage, whatever, here in Ireland, and look at his assets and his finances and realize he couldn't fund a pair of shoes?
I guess.
Can I have some shoes?
Yeah, definitely.
See, they're always bitching they want shoes.
Right.
Well, it's because they can't afford any. Unless they're backed by the U.S. government, which would be Al-Qaeda. So, ultimately, my question, of course, would have to be...
So do you guys think being fast is better than being slow?
Yes! It's better to be fast, to not be bitten by a werewolf, and then you'll be turned into one, and you'll have to stay in, and then you'll have to get shaved because you'll be too hot, and then you're like... which means I wish I was back to a human.
What? It's not complicated. Faster is better. And AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network for your iPhone 5.
With 160 more miles per tank, the distances aren't getting shorter. The trucks are going farther. The new 2013 Ram 1500. With the best-in-class fuel economy, engineered to move heaven and earth. Guts, glory, Ram.
I stood outside assessing the situation. I knew it could be rough in there, but how rough, there was no way to know for sure.
Hey, guys.
Daddy, it's pink!
But hey, a new house, it's a blank canvas, and we got a great one, thanks to a really low mortgage rate from Navy Federal Credit Union.
Pink?
So she's a princess. You got a problem with that?
Hoorah! Hoorah!
4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union.
The rich Sony sound and Vio. Sound out.
There you go. And we are back with Mahmed and the Crimson Jihad. Yes, we are talking about terrorism. No, you're actually back with Kate and Crash. This is Straight Talk, believe it or not, on this freezing winter eve. And it is, minus 11 in Central Park as I speak. Yes, it is most cold. We must relocate to the desert. That's what we will do. Relocate to the desert. Or Ireland, if that be our fancy. Yeah, so we are talking about, of course, Jihad Jane and Jihad Jamie and the evil terrorist organization network that is long infested Ireland. Well, actually, in the end of 2001 is when he actually moved to Ireland, and, well, I don't know. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. It's kind of an interesting story if you wanted to write a terrorist comedy screenplay, I think. It would be kind of maybe funny on that end. But this whole Jihad Jane thing just ain't funny. But it is funny. The only reason
it's not funny.
Well, the reason that it's not funny, of course, is ultimately because somebody's sitting in jail for a total of 10 years because of this. I think this segment we're going to actually dedicate to being convicted for a crime you might do.
Right.
Or a crime you've thought about doing. Okay, because, you know, these guys in Ireland and Pakistan and Baltimore, none of these guys had an issue with the artist. She did. Okay? She had the issue with the artist. Yeah, good morning.
No, I mean, I'm thinking, was it pre-conversion to extremist, or was it...
Oh, kind of like initiation? Oh, well, go kill this artist and then we'll talk.
Well, I mean, First of all, she decided to become a Muslim because she had an affair with a Muslim.
Yeah, that was not clear.
Well, it was clearly as stated as possible. You know, she hadn't considered, just throwing her whole life away and becoming a Muslim until she had an affair with a Muslim guy.
Right. Well, I'm not saying it wasn't clear because, you know, I didn't think it was E-Armony.
No.
I'm saying it wasn't clear because that was never stated in any of the news articles anywhere that I've checked out.
Oh, well, it was for me, and it was in that little documentary we watched in the studio earlier this afternoon.
Oh.
She dated this guy, had a sex with this guy, had a fling with this guy.
Okay.
He got out of the picture, but it got her interested in Islam. And that's when she started going online and researching and doing things. She never had an inkling of becoming
but this guy was supposed to be her trainer.
Right, but he came long after.
Oh, okay. There's somebody else that I'm not aware of.
What I'm saying is she had an affair with a guy she picked up. Don't forget she had a white boyfriend, too, so
right.
The Muslim affair was even before this guy.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Sometime in the past, she had an affair with this Muslim guy. Turned her on to Islam.
Okay.
Okay. All said and done, they have sex. It's a great thing, whatever. It's over, though. It's just one of those flings.
Okay.
She moves on with her life, still miserable, et cetera, meets her new boyfriend, does her online thing, whatever she's doing. For whatever reason, you know, she took an interest in the things that he was saying about the Quran because most Muslims live their religion.
Right. So you hear about it.
Right. Exactly. So I guess she saw something or heard something else that re-sparked her interest, and that's how it came into play. But before this guy she had an affair with, you know, Islam never occurred to her.
No.
It never was something, well, someday I would like to become a Muslim. You know, that didn't happen.
Her dad's on top of her pumping away, and she's just thinking, one day I will crawl from the sands of the desert and kill you.
Right, yeah, no, it didn't happen that way, but that was kind of cool. Yeah, no. So, that's the thing, and that's how funny life is. You know, it's those things. You know, that we encounter that sometimes they seem so insignificant at the moment.
I guess. But
it caused a profound, you know, change in her life. She took such a detour of what would otherwise have been an uneventful life.
Well, and I guess it really matters, too, to that end, what that person's personality type is. Because I've gone out with a lot of born-again Christians and got them in bed, but I never adopted the religion.
Right, of course. But she was online, lonely, miserable about her life, et cetera, looking for something.
Right.
And here comes this scam artist. So it was kind of a convergence of the perfect storm kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, had she had a fling with a Jewish guy, would she have, you know, tried to become an Orthodox Jew? Or, no. It was just one of those things. And that scam artist came along and, you know, whatever sites that she went to learn a little bit more about it, they turned out to be scammy kind of sites, etc., you know. So it was just like a convergence of all these circumstances.
Right.
You know, that led her to make these really foolish decisions. And in the heat of the moment, when we're passionate and stuff and we're convinced it's new, it's exciting and stuff, and we don't rationalize, we go with our feelings instead. You know, my question is, did she have any niggles? And if she did, why did she ignore them? You know?
Well, now, in your niggle conversation there, doesn't somebody need to have a good amount of self-awareness in order to have those and be able to follow through on those accurately?
Yes and no. I mean, even before I became, like, learned and self-aware, I always had niggles.
Oh,
I always had niggles, and they kept me alive, and they kept me safe. It's just your intuition I call niggles. It's just that gut intuition that tells you don't go in there, something bad's in there, or, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
And the only time I've ever regretted anything in life is when I ignored my niggles, you know. So I wonder, when she talked to this guy and the things that he was saying about, oh, well, let's get your cousin and we'll have her be Jihad Jane and she can be my sex slave. Didn't any niggles occur then?
Well, and then earlier you were talking about, shouldn't they have just handed this off to some junior special agent and be done with it?
Right.
My question to that, though, is after everything I've said tonight and talking about, their decades of accumulated information on everybody and everything, right down to your bank accounts, your spending habits, your
sex partners,
where you use your credit cards, etc. Now add to, fast forward to 2006 when all this actually went down and happened. You're telling me that they weren't aware of every word that was ever spoken between her and any of these other people.
Right.
They should have transcripts miles long,
of course,
of evidence to incriminate her and get, I think they were seeking 30-plus years for the conviction.
Yeah, because she and Jihad Jane there weren't smart enough to block their chat logs and do all that kind of stuff, even if the other players were. They weren't.
No.
So, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What she said.
The whole thing just, even from a layman's perspective in law enforcement, looking at this situation, and it's a scam. It's just a scam.
This is what actually brings me to, I think, maybe a bigger question that I was going to ask on I'm going to ask it on Straight Talk tomorrow night. I'm going to ask on Crash Talk tomorrow night, straightly.
But not on Real Talk Wednesday.
No, I would never think of busting into your Real Talk and asking this question. But the question is, if this is an actual news story that's enveloped the media right now, what else is going on that we are being distracted from? Because this seems to be, on the whole, except for the lady sitting in jail for another 6 years, pretty frickin' innocuous.
Yeah, the whole thing is innocuous. All right, it's like I proposed to you at break. So
yeah, she wanted to marry me again.
I always want to marry you again. So I said, okay, I'm here in New York, and I decide that I don't like the Queen anymore, and I'm going to go to England, and I'm going to kill the Queen. But, before I go, I better figure out, my methodology. And there's a guy who's in Morocco who's really good at that. So I'm going to go and take a pit stop in Morocco.
Check this out. Morocco methodological mole.
Right. The Moroccan methodological mole, right? Okay, exactly. So, yeah, I'm in New York. I want to kill the Queen. Let me stop in Morocco and talk to this guy who can best tell me how to do it and show me how to do it and da-da-da.
And train you, yep.
And I get to Morocco and I find out he's just like this little dweeb who posted somebody else's picture and he has nothing and there's nothing in there. I'm like, well, this is just stupid.
And then
Forget it.
And then you come back home and get arrested.
And I come back home to New York.
Which is exactly what happened here.
And I get arrested and I'm put on trial and I'm facing charges that could keep me in prison for the rest of my life.
To kill the Queen.
Because I had this crazy idea that I was going to go and do this and for whatever reason. But, when I saw how ridiculous the people were, I realized how ridiculous the whole thing was and I decided not to do it and I came home.
Right.
And that's exactly what this chick did. But yet she's sitting in jail for 10 years. And any attorney that I would hire would have a field day trying to find a prosecutor to make that charge stick against me.
Yeah, I've actually had the joy of witnessing you in court with no lawyer, and
I always do pro se.
You ripped that other lawyer a new one, shut him down at every angle. The guy at the end, Kate talked for about 30 minutes. On this civil case that we were involved in, and at the end of it, the guy, the opposing attorney, the one holding the license of the bar, versus this little old girl from Pasadena, was literally left stammering with, Your Honor, that's exactly the way it went down. I can play you the bloody chat log.
I had to keep hubby quiet.
Yeah, but she you systematically ripped their case to nothing, and absolutely the judge was like, yeah, okay, we're done here. Goodbye.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But the thing is that not everybody has your wherewithal. Not everybody can do your diligence and research and all that kind of stuff.
This poor woman is suffering for that now.
But I'm asking the bigger question. How is it that we're all okay with somebody thinking of doing something, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise,
right?
But it's against the law, thinking of doing something, going over to a friend's house to talk about it, and then coming home and getting arrested for doing it?
Or attempting to do it.
Right. You haven't done it. You've thought about it. You've talked to a couple of people about it, and you still haven't done it.
And here's the thing.
What?
She didn't go to Pakistan to train and then come home and change it. She went to Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, clearly...
And the Irish police themselves say that the Muslim community in Ireland as a country is extremely small. That's the quote.
Right. I would imagine it is because, you know, you don't go in there and like the opposing football team, let alone, you know, be one of those. I mean, almost everybody in New York is Irish, almost. So they have a sympathetic to their sister country here with that sort of thing. And
sure.
You know, you don't do that. I'm surprised there's any.
I don't think if John F. Kennedy was president, she would have been arrested when she got home.
No?
No.
Huh. What's interesting?
Why?
Well, because I don't think that really had anything to do with it. I'm just saying that the
who's the president
in
right
Ireland,
now? Who's the president right now has everything to do with it.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, because think about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to bring home the troops. Here's 75,000 more. We're going to end our thing in Afghanistan by some date. It's still going on. We're going to have Obamacare.
In 2029.
Nobody wants it.
Yeah, well, and that too.
Because it actually costs more.
Right.
The people that can't afford it are apparently going to be thrown in jail from this man's own order. Oh, yeah, you didn't know that? Obamacare has a deadline. If you're not signed up with it, you get fined and you go to jail. Why do you think everybody's freaking about it?
I don't know. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, I know. I try and keep my head in the sand, too, as far as that crap's concerned. But, yeah, that's the deal. That's mandatory. Yeah. I don't know what all those illegal Mexicans are going to do, but...
Well, that can't be right, because...
No, you've apparently got to a certain date. I can go look at it here. Go look it up while I entertain our people with my...
Yeah, well, you're going to have
to,
because I got to make sure we're signed up then.
No, but my point is...
Could you imagine our little boo-boo into jail?
Our current president has signed over 400 executive orders in the last 6 months.
I've heard that. That I did hear about. And that's kind of creepy, freaking me out.
Well, you know, screw going through the House or the Senate. We'll just make them executive orders and we'll just do them. You saw that list the other day of all the terrorists that are in office.
Yes, that is another amazing thing to me.
Well, that's him. You think the House of Representatives voted those people in? No.
Doesn't it have to be somewhat collective? And don't they get booted when there's a new president?
Well, we can only hope. Because
like
it looks
chooses
like
his cabinet, and the new president will choose his cabinet.
It looks like it reads like a roster of suspected terrorists.
I know.
All those names.
I know, it's scary.
Khalid al-Hassam.
And I don't want to be prejudicial against any group or anything, you know.
Well, no, usually you see them on taxi rosters. But
But I don't like to do that. You know I don't like to do that. And
well,
I'm trying to hope that it is an innocent thing that he's trying to, you know, keep our enemies closer kind of thing, maybe? I don't know.
Equal opportunity. We'll put Al-Qaeda in charge of Homeland Security because that's who's in charge of it right now. And then they nail this woman for trying to kill a Swedish artist from Ireland. See? You see? It is funny.
All right, let's look at it this great point. Let's look at it this way. Okay? Everybody watches Law and Order, right? If this chick lived in Manhattan and attempted to kill this Swedish artist in Sweden, would, you know, Cragen and the team arrest her, and would they go through all the foofara and you know, arraign her and charge her and do all this stuff?
Well, you got a problem here because in Law and Order, that Swedish artist would be dead.
Well, not if it was bungled like it was bungled. It was an attempted murder. That's why it's an actual crime.
Okay, but if they're New York cops and she's in New York and he's in Sweden, there's no case. Her arms aren't long enough.
Exactly. They're not long enough from Ireland either.
It might be on Law and Order SUC.
But see, the Irish police didn't arrest her.
That was Law and Order Suck, by the way.
We got it, honey.
Okay.
We got it.
All right.
The Swedish police didn't arrest her.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about it after this break. We have a break coming.
Yes, we do. So enjoy the chips away, and we'll come back for our closing segment on this week's Straight Talk. Hang on, gang.
Hi, welcome to Toyota. I'm Jan.
Hi, Jack's gonna pick us a car.
Yeah, Toyotas are so reliable, he could drive it one day. Great timing. It's our Toyota Time Sales event.
Camry, safe, reliable. What color?
Oh, red with a cool stereo. We have that.
Now you can get a new 2013 Camry with 0% financing. Or lease this Camry LE now for just $209 a month. And you get Toyota Care 2-year maintenance. Toyota, let's go places.
The images you're about to see may be difficult to look at. Sadly, every year millions of innocent cakes are mangled, mistreated, and hurt. But there is something you can do. Go to the freezer section and pick up new Cool Whip frosting. It's whipped, fluffy, and perfectly sweet, so it spreads on easily, leaving cakes unharmed. Please help. Cool Whip frosting. Together, we can change the way cakes are frosted.
It's a stick revolution. Now skin goes shine free and naturally matte in just one step. New Fit Me Stick Foundation from Maybelline, New York. The first of its kind. Fresh gel foundation with an anti-shine powder core inside. Dissolves oil while it blends to a natural matte finish. For coverage that's fresh, flawless, one step perfect. New Fit Me Stick Foundation from Maybelline.
Stick with us.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
What are we gonna do today?
Stay strong. Take on the heat. Bounce back.
Get healthy looking hair that stands up to styling. Discover Platinum Strength, new from Tresemme. It repairs up to 2 years of damage by reinforcing hair's natural protective barrier. For resilient hair with all its beautiful strength. What will you do with your salon strong, chair-worthy hair? Tresemme. Professional. Affordable.
HTLA Radio 1.
HTLA Radio Fun. That's right.
Oh, I like that. That's really cool.
Well, we'll roll that out for this summer's promo. That's right.
Oh, I like that.
HTLA Radio
Write that down.
Fun. Well, that's going to be part of our event trailer that, yes, we are going to have for the summer.
I can't wait.
We are going to be out and about at various events all over the tri-state area.
Right. Mostly in the city, though, in the summer. There's a lot going on.
Well, that's what she says. I personally wanted to venture out into the woods and I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Just take me up the coast, and then all I'll be doing is antiquing and stuff, and going to flea
never mind.
markets. And
forget about it. It's
decorating our new house.
Never mind. All
Yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, you are listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash. I am Crash. She is Kate.
I am.
It makes everything just freaking great.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight's show is, yes, powered by Procast, but also subject matter is all about Jihad Jane.
Right.
Yes. Colleen, actually, but yes.
The Jihad.
That was her on-screen I am name.
Jihad lame.
So we were just discussing before the break the ramifications of, would the Law and Order SVU team or SUC team or whoever take the case if, there was not an attempt on a Swedish artist's life in Sweden, but that somebody was talking about doing it in the United States and went to Ireland to carry out the threat. No, of course not. There's no case there. I don't even understand why a judge is looking at this, let alone ruling on it. I don't know why they've been allowed to keep her in a jail cell for 4 years.
Right.
I don't know. And the biggest problem of,
how did they do that?
I think the whole point of tonight's show is, why isn't the American people absolutely outraged that someone has been sitting in jail for 4 years and now is going to continue to sit in jail for another 6 years for thinking about and wanting to do a crime?
Right. It doesn't matter the circumstances of her bungling or changing her mind or not doing it, etc., etc. There was never even a physical attempt made on his life.
No.
So.
Nope, his life changed not one iota.
That's right. So she wants to kill an artist in Sweden. Nothing ever even remotely comes close to her doing so. Not even any contact between herself and the victim.
or indeed the ability, because, if we remember correctly here, her funds were exhausted getting back to the U.S. after hearing that her mother was dead, or dying.
Right.
The great training camp and the facilities of Al-Qaeda in Ireland were supposed to launch her off to achieve her ultimate jihad to its fruition. And, of course, there was no resources there and none of that. So
right.
She's basically a victim of somebody else in Ireland lying to her, or somebody else in Pakistan, or a combination of both, to end up extorting the passport and documents she ended up sending. Right, so to me, it's like one of these African scams.
That's right, it was. They just did that to get a hold of somebody American, access to somebody's American stuff. They got her to steal her boyfriend's passport. And, well, that's, like I said, the only thing she should be in jail for. So, doing that, because that's some serious stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
Right.
So, okay, if we want to come out and say, okay, well, we're keeping you in jail for 10 years for doing that, then let's do that and be done with it. But why this BS guise of terrorism and why this fear? You see some of these images that they put up of her in the black abaya, which she doesn't own. She put on that one headdress dealio in that one shot, that white one, for her on-screen picture.
Right.
She doesn't own that garb.
Oh. Well,
somebody photoshopped that onto her to make her look more ominous.
Well, first of all, she should be, convicted of uber stupidity, for one, and uber bad taste, and uber...
The jails would be overflowing, I hate to break it to you.
Oh, dear God, I know, so true. But, here's the thing. 4 years, of course, they're not going to release her on her own recognizance, given the kind of charge and the fact that she somehow managed to get to Europe once, and flee, whatever. She's the flight risk, okay, whatever. But they can't really keep somebody in jail for 4.5 years without a trial. We have something that's, says you have the right to a speedy trial
under the Homeland Security laws, which supersede any and all in the land.
They can hold you indefinitely. Right. Gotcha. I know.
So this begs the question, why are they breaking this now? Why are they making a decision now? They could keep her in there for the next 20 years. We'd never know. And right, true enough. So it goes back to my original question. What the heck are they putting this out for? What are we supposed to be distracted from?
Good point.
You know, I just don't know, and I don't understand any of it. I think the whole thing is laughable, and yet there it is.
Yeah.
Unless it's a situation like the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and all these groups within the government that are supposed to be so up on world terrorism and know their stuff and keep us safe and protected are the same kind of idiots that are in that NORAD first response base on 9/11 where when told that it was a real world scenario
and not an exercise, they said, oh, cool, right, yeah.
For 9/11.
But,
so,
playing the devil's advocate, nothing ever happened exciting for them either. And at that moment, we had no clue just how catastrophic and historic that would become. I don't think she'd have said, oh, cool.
At that point, there was nothing looking good for too many people.
No, but at that point, there wasn't 5,000 dead and, the greatest terrorist attack in history on US soil.
At that point... They had a number of hijacked aircraft and didn't know what was going on. That should have been more of a priority.
Well, true. But again, a hijacked aircraft, it's an impersonal thing. It's just an impersonal thing. And in this world of video game desensitization...
It's not like somebody hijacked a couple of bikes and a skateboard.
No, but in this world of video game desensitization where you can, do all that stuff yourself and it is cool, all the games, then it's a desensitization. And, when that stuff happens, that's your first reaction. So that was a dumb thing to say, but we all have our moments of saying dumb things in inopportune times and stuff like that. We can't judge somebody's complete and total character or worth based on 1 5-second comment, right?
Or ability to do their job. No, that would have been judged as a review of the account of what they did the rest of their
right,
day.
but that was collective and not just that one chick. So the whole procedure needs to be reviewed and revised and whatever.
Well,
you know.
There it is, gang. Another Straight Talk for another week here at HTLA.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Hopefully next week we'll get in a little warmer than we're in today.
It has been utterly freezing here. And, you know, New York, it's still, right now it's the hottest it's been.
All right, gang, we're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to thank HTLA Radio 1 for keeping us bringing you issues that matter with the people to whom they matter most. And, of course, a huge thank you to our sponsors and supporters. And we're nothing without you, our listeners. Last but not least, the one I can never forget because I'd be in big trouble if I did, my one-of-a-kind, forever everything, producer, co-host, and husband. In case you people didn't know, he's my husband. Christopher Crash Jesus Taylor, you are the best. So be sure to tune in next Monday, Meeps, because you never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. Take my love with you as you go, and be you, be true, and be fierce kitties. Good night.